All right, hello. Now, I'm currently going through Last Epoch just as a detox before PoE 2, but it's been a minute since I've talked about PoE fucking 2. It's finally coming out in about a couple days' time, and because of that, I've decided to do a little presentation. Yeah, no, just straight up ripping off Zergog. You know, he owns the PowerPoint presentation stuff. And this is just going to be me talking about a bunch of the basic stuff, plans going forward for the channel, plans I have with PoE 2, PoE 1, and some of the builds I've tried in the Necro League since I didn't really post videos on that because I didn't really have time and none of them were like super interesting. So I'm going to try and put timestamps, but I'm going to quickly run through the builds and that'll take about a minute. All right, Necro League. It was all right. I think they definitely could have advertised it a lot more. It was fun. It's a nice little gimmick league in preparation of two, but they definitely needed to advertise it a lot more. And by now the economy's all messed up, so it's not even worth getting into unless you're planning on doing solo self-found. All right, Jesus, this presentation's fucked up. I'm not even gonna try to explain this. I tried charge dash trickster. I did a charge dash trickster. It was all right. Pretty. It's a usable skill. Falls off at bosses and endgame. Um, it was basically carried by the fact that trickster is so strong. Next time I'm gonna try it with the berserker. That's all you need. It's got potential. All right, next one. Vigilant strike jug. That one was pretty fun. Obviously, I only played it to 42, which is nothing, but that was enough for me to say, like, oh, hey, the skill's actually sustaining itself with just the Jug Ascendancy. So that's pretty cool. Take it with a grain of salt, and maybe I'll League start it once. It seemed like a pretty chill kind of playthrough. Bone Nova Champion. This gets the gold star of, hey, this kind of works. I used Splitting Steel to proc it, and actually Bone Nova can trigger itself on the weapon, so that was pretty neat. But obviously, I did it on a champion because I was trying to scale some Impale, and it wasn't really that good. Champion isn't good right now, so maybe in the future I'll come back to it. It it could use some work, and like at the time I was doing it, I was getting kind of tired of playing the character, so I kind of left it as it is and kind of went like, hey, this is a usable skill. Maybe people should look at it. And then finally, the real experiment I did in the past couple like weeks. Yeah, no. So you can afflict the dancing dervish with affliction from the selfish shepherd ring. And what that does is that it slowly starts killing them but gives you a bunch of regen. And because the dancing dervish have so much uh just flat defense, they take like almost a full minute to die. And so you're getting almost capped regen the entire time. And so I tried to turn that into some sort of damage with Intuitive Link, and it did kind of work, but then when they die, so you die too if you're linked. So that was kind of dead in the water because you couldn't be too careful. This will be something I have, and I moved it to the top of my list of experimentation stuff for PoE 1. So whenever I get off of 2, I'm going to go back to 1 and try this. But this, who knows when you'll hear about this again because PoE 2 is my main thing. And now, here's the thing everyone's here for. Here's the thing anyone only fucking cares about. Plans for PoE 2, EA, and how much we will all lose ourselves to this stuff. I cannot stop watching PoE 2 analysis videos. Fucking goddamn it. Alright. My starter choice. Yep, it's the warrior. Honestly, between this and monk, it was a pretty hard toss-up for like the first one, and it just came down to vibe of the warrior. The warrior seems like much more of a chill dude, at least from the little bits and pieces we've seen. And the Titan class has a lot more emphasis on stun, and I really like the idea of stun mechanics in the game. So I'm really going to be leaning into that. Definitely much more of a strike oriented warrior instead of like a slam oriented, and I'm going to be trying incorporating quarterstaves because I like my unarmed, and according to Big Jonathan over at GGG, it's not gonna be supported for a minute. So I'm gonna try what I can with what I have, but I will also not be streaming like my initial first playthrough. Like, this is insane, and I'll probably be streaming subsequent playthroughs if I got time and that kind of thing. But the first one's all for me, baby. Like, at least up until, well, maybe just the first 3 acts. I might stream Cruel if I feel like it, and Endgame's definitely on the table. It depends on how far I get into with the warrior, but we'll see. We'll see. Things I want to note. The one major thing I really hope is in the game, and we haven't had a confirmation, at least from all the videos I've seen. That's Doriani's fist right there. That has to be Doriani's fist. And I love the concept of Doriani's fist a whole bunch. So I hope that's in the game. I will be putting that on my fist, and I will be making that my first build. I will be farming this twink of a scientist for his big gauntlet. And that is my plan. Alright, next up. Classes I will be playing after the first character. Surprisingly, it's actually the mercenary, not the monk. Between the mercenary and the monk, I just think the mercenary has the most new in it. Crossbow gun stuff. And that just sounds fun. That sounds like a fun kind of playthrough to try out. Specifically the Witch Hunter, just because cool aesthetic, neat abilities, and like I'm sure Legionnaire is going to be much more of an optimization kind of thing, but Witch Hunter just seems to have general usability. Then the Monk. Yeah, Monk, specifically Invoker. I know everyone is looking at the Hand of Shayulo, but one, I kind of don't like the aesthetic. That I know that's heresy to not like dark, brooding aesthetics. I'm just not into it. Personally, I think this Monk looks cooler. Second, the elemental stuff's pretty neat. I like Freeze. Freeze is a neat mechanic, and the kind of stuff you can do with cold damage is pretty cool. I'll see what happens with it. And then finally, Chronomancer. Time Age. It's Time Age. I think basically everyone's gonna play Chronomancer at some point, just because it's such a neat concept. I don't know what I'll do with it, but from what we've seen, most of it's cooldown manipulation. And there's a couple more nodes on the tree that we could potentially use and could potentially be interesting. And then after this, whatever. I was never really a Deadeye person, and Sorcerer and Minions, maybe I'll play them, maybe I won't. We'll see. It really depends on interests, especially this early on. As for build guides, don't even expect any for a while. I'm gonna have to really get myself accustomed to whatever the gameplay is before a build guide comes up. As a general rule of thought, if you're listening to me, some random dude on the internet, do not trust a build guide for about the first week of the game. Everyone's still going to be figuring it out. It's not going to be that easily understood, especially because there's so much difference in the game design. Not like fundamentally like the items or progression or skills. Those are pretty similar, but the design and how bosses are made and how they're meant to be dealt with is completely different. And people are going to have to get used to that, especially with 6-linking basically every skill. All right. Finally, the channel stuff, if you care about that. As a personal thing, I kind of want to try and collect every unique in the game. I know that's kind of like I don't know. That's definitely like a personal thing. That's definitely not something to be bragging about. I'm sure plenty of people have done that in the past, but I've never done it. And personally, in these kinds of games, in ARPGs, in Path of Exile, in Last Epoch, and all that kind of stuff, I love uniques. Uniques are my favorite thing. They offer the most unique concept of defining a build around it and that kind of thing. And I want to show my appreciation to the general concept of unique build creation by collecting as many as I can. So I'll probably be doing that. I'll probably be making videos on specific uniques that seem interesting. I'm sure there will probably be tons of videos like that, but I think it'll just be really cool to let me gush about this kind of stuff. And it's my channel. I do what I want. And then the more interesting thing, and the more like, oh my god, I know someone else? Yeah, I have convinced some sorry soul to try PoE 2 with me. And guess what? They have never touched Path of Exile in the past. That is a, a very rare thing, and being able to, record all that and probably stream most of our playthrough, like, me probably doing my second or third playthrough with them, and them just learning the initial stuff. So Blue will be joining me at some point in the future. It'll be couch co-op specifically, and I'll be nerding out for the most part, and they'll be suffering through with me. And that's it. See y'all around. See y'all around. Get it? You get it? That's the bit. It's a holly. Oh god, he crashed.